What happens when ownership over TikTok's algorithm changes hands? Disney asked the internet how they were feeling and then deleted the responses. How IShowSpeed is outperforming D1 athletes while his 49.7 million followers watch, and why I think the internet you knew is gone forever. This and more on a brand new episode of Curious and Inspired. Welcome to a brand new episode of Curious and Inspired. I am your host, Matt Vandrick. I'm so glad to be here with y'all today. Let's get into it, shall we? Seen on the internet, where we discuss things that are seen on the internet. All right. So Matthew McConaughey gets patents to block people from using his voice, image, and likeness with artificial intelligence. His phrase, all right, is now trademarked. So we live in a world where we can generate images, voices, and full movies on the fly. But Matthew, rightfully so, doesn't want you to use his without getting paid. This is a premise that is not going away. And so I'm interested to see how other celebrities will take action to guard their likeness while protecting their bag, aka their future earnings. Disney posted a simple question on the internet. Share a Disney quote that sums up how you're feeling right now. And the internet said, say less. Here are a couple of my favorites. Barbie from Toy Story 3. Authority should derive from consent of the governed, not from threat of force. That tracks. Robin Hood said, death to tyrants. In Star Wars, so this is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause. Unfortunately, that's what it feels like right now. So here's the thing. When you ask people how they're feeling and they actually answer, sometimes the brands can't handle it. Sometimes the algorithm can't handle it. But the people were very clear about how they're feeling right now. And I thought it was a very smart way to use their own words back in their face. I'm here for this. More of this, please. Oracle is set to take over TikTok on January 22nd. By the time you see this video, they will already be in control. So here's what's actually happening. A new company, TikTok USDS Joint Venture LLC, will control all U.S. operations. Oracle, Silver Lake, and Abu Dhabi-based MGX will own 45% as managing investors. Another 30% will be held by existing ByteDance investors, and ByteDance itself keeps 19.9%. That means American and global investors will control over 80% of the new entity. But according to the White House, ByteDance will have no access to U.S. user data and no influence over the algorithm whatsoever. Here's the part I want you to pay attention to. The algorithm will be retrained using only American data. So content moderation, what's allowed and what's not, will be decided by the new US controlled board. So what does that mean for you? Well, it means that the TikTok you've been using may start to look a little bit different. Some reports say that users in the States might even need to download a completely separate app. The US version could diverge entirely from the international one, which means no more global content, no more seeing what's trending overseas, and overall just being at the whim of whatever the new owners decide Americans should and should not see. Some critics are already pushing back. Former Treasury official Jim Secreto said this isn't really a divestment. It's more like a franchise deal that leaves TikTok's core technology in China, while Senator Ron Wyden says it falls short on privacy and security. From a user's perspective, one college student put it bluntly, the algorithm is probably going to show me more government stuff, propaganda. What I want y'all to pay attention to here is even further consolidation of the media as we know it. The platforms that should be global, open, and borderless are now being carved up, restructured, and handed to new owners with new agendas. This is more than TikTok, folks. It's a pattern we need to be paying attention to globally. We'll see what happens. But if you wanted a clear example of the internet you knew disappearing in real time, this is it. The Australia ban that I mentioned to you last episode is already in full effect as Meta alone has blocked 550,000 accounts because of it. I've also learned that 4.7 million accounts total across social media have also been affected. This includes TikTok, Instagram, Snap, X, Reddit, Kick, Twitch, and YouTube. So this might seem shocking to some, to block all the youngins from social media. But this under 16 ban is being embraced by almost 80% of the Australian population who ultimately believe that social media apps are bad for that age group. Signals versus noise. This is Signals versus Noise, where we take the headlines and figure out what actually matters and what's just noise, because not everything loud is worth listening to. So we just talked about TikTok being handed over to new owners. Algorithm retrained, content moderation controlled by a brand new board. The platform you built your audience on suddenly playing by different rules. And so for me, that raises a question. If the platforms can be bought, sold, and restructured overnight, is there an alternative? Is there a way to communicate that can't be controlled? Well, enter BitChat. Twitter co-founder Jack Dorsey created this app, and here's what makes it different. No internet, no Wi-Fi, no cell towers. It runs on Bluetooth mesh networks, peer-to-peer, device to device, completely decentralized. In a world where we've been sort of conditioned to believe you have to be connected all the time, where the first thing you do in someone's house is ask for the Wi-Fi password, BitChat is saying, what if you didn't need any of that? This is more than a notion, folks. This is a response to something real. According to Access Now, there were 187 government internet shutdowns across 35 countries in 2022. That's 187 times that authorities decided to just turn off the internet. And when the internet goes dark, WhatsApp stops working, Instagram disappears, phone signals die. Everything that depends on connectivity is gone. You're in a disaster zone with no infrastructure, BitChat still works. You're somewhere you don't want your messages passing through corporate servers, and BitChat still works. So now, of course, this does come with some pros and cons to consider, right? Anything decentralized or moderated, untraceable is freedom, but it's also a tool that bad actors can use. Coordination for good, all for it, but also coordination for things that we don't want coordinated. Remember the fact that there's always trade-offs. And further, here's something else I want you to keep in mind. Always consider the source of new technology. Because here we have Jack Dorsey, who co-founded Twitter. He built it through its heyday. The Twitter we knew and loved before it became the bitter X we know today, owned by Elon Musk. Elon wants to put chips in your brain with Neuralink. He wants to blanket the planet in connectivity he controls with Starlink, and basically build a world where he's the center. Two founders, same platform, completely opposite visions. And now, one is building the grid, the other is building the way off of it. And I think that's something worth sitting with, because the power of technology is in the hands of the builder. What they believe, what they want, what they're afraid of, all of that shapes what they create. And so the signal here is that the conditions requiring an escape route are already here. And one of the people who helped build the foundation of modern day social platforms, Jack Dorsey, is now helping build the way out. Microsoft says communities won't see energy price hikes near data centers. And that's a special choice of words. So here's what's actually happening. Data centers already use 4% of all US electricity. By 2030, that's expected to double. A single AI data center uses as much power as 100,000 homes. The largest ones still under development are about 20 times that. And guess who's paying for it? You are. One study estimates that data centers and cryptocurrency mining could increase average US electricity bills by 8% by 2030, with potential spikes over 25% in high demand areas like Central and Northern Virginia. So let's get specific. In the PJM power market, that's Illinois to North Carolina, data centers have added an estimated $9.3 billion to capacity costs for 2025 and 2026. In states with a high concentration of data centers, Virginia, Illinois, Ohio, electricity prices have surged much faster than the national average. Meanwhile, the grid monitor for 65 million Americans in the eastern US is asking federal regulators to block more data centers because the system simply can't handle it. Communities are showing up with yard signs to stop these projects from being built. So when Microsoft says no price hikes outright, that's not something that they can guarantee. And for that reason, I'm calling this noise. It's an overgeneralization designed to paint things in a better light than reality. In short, watch your electric bill. At 21 years old, streamer IShowSpeed is dismantling assumptions about how elite athletes are discovered. His explosive performances raise a provocative question. How many world-class talents are out there who have never entered the pipeline at all? This one is a signal for me. If you haven't encountered IShowSpeed, a YouTuber commanding 49.7 million subscribers, congratulations to that man, you're missing a cultural phenomenon. In 2025, he made it official with a series called IShowSpeed Goes Pro, documenting his journey and convincing millions, including professional athletes, that he could actually compete at the highest levels. He's raced Olympic sprinter Noah Lyles, defeated college track athlete Ashton Hall 3 consecutive times, trained with Olympic gymnast Suni Lee, executing moves that typically require years of elite coaching. He's caught passes from Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson, posted a vertical leap that Tom Brady ranked in the top 0.001% of all athletes. His 24-hour backflip attempt hit 660 reps before his body gave out, just short of the world record. All of this is remarkable for someone with absolutely no formal training. Speed has no elite athletic resume. His high school record showed JV basketball at Purcell Marion in Ohio. That's it. No recruitment, no scouts, no system. And so we've seen this story before, right? Just not in sports. YouTube broke Issa Rae. SoundCloud gave us Chance the Rapper. The internet has been democratizing visibility for artists, musicians, entertainers, and for years we've watched the gatekeepers lose their grip in all of those arenas. But athletics up until this point has been different. Sports require a body. You can't fake a 40-yard dash. You can't auto-tune a vertical leap. The physical world was the last gate-kept arena. And then speed showed up with a camera and 48 million witnesses. So now the gatekeepers are paying attention. Suni Lee said he has raw talent for professional gymnastics. Usain Bolt tempered expectations, noting elite performance requires years of specialized training, but even he couldn't deny the ability. Bolt even offered to coach him. The institutions that never knew speed existed are now watching. So here's the question. How many elite athletes are out there who never got spotted, who weren't in the right gym, the right school, the right system? Speed became a millionaire at 16. Why would someone with that earning potential sacrifice years to a system that extracts free labor from college athletes? The most compelling talents may increasingly choose streaming or alternatives over scholarships at college, building personal brands over playing for institutions. The internet democratized music, it democratized entertainment, and now it seems to be coming for sports. The last gate-kept arena is cracking. But see, the thing is, IShowSpeed is not an anomaly. He's the proof of concept that it's important to invest in what you do best. Tap into your special sauce and let the world see it. Microsoft, Meta, and Amazon are now paying for enterprise access to Wikipedia. Sounds innocent, right? Just some API access, some data streams, no big deal. So that's what they want you to think. Here's what Wikimedia Enterprise actually is. It's a commercial product that packages Wikipedia's data into easily consumable formats for tech giants. Web APIs, data snapshots, continuous streams. All the information that millions of unpaid volunteers have contributed, now served up on a silver platter to the biggest corporations on the planet. But leave it to me to say the quiet part out loud. This is about AI training. These companies aren't paying for enterprise access because they love encyclopedias. They're paying because Wikipedia is one of the largest, cleanest, most comprehensive data sets on Earth. That is the real product here. And also, don't forget, Wikipedia exists because of you. Regular people, writers, journalists, experts, hobbyists, people who contribute their knowledge freely because they believe in open access to information. Many of these same people have been vocal about opposing AI companies scraping their work without permission or compensation. So what does the Wikimedia Foundation do? They create a backdoor, a corporate service that lets big tech quietly access all that contributed content without the PR nightmare of being accused of theft. It's actually quite genius, really. Avoid the controversy, keep the volunteers happy, cash the checks. And speaking of checks, we got to talk about the money now. Wikipedia's donation banners are legendary. I know you've seen them. Urgent pleas, dire warnings about keeping the lights on, framed as a scrappy nonprofit fighting for survival. And people donate. I mean, I've donated before, believing I'm supporting a cause. But Wikimedia Enterprise launched in October 2021, and by 2022, according to the New York Times Magazine, it had already pulled in $3.1 million in revenue. And that was before Microsoft, Meta, and Amazon even signed on. So here's the question. If Wikipedia is generating millions from licensing deals with the world's richest companies, why are they still asking us for $3? That is the confusion, and that is why this is noise. Wikipedia, or at least the Wikimedia Foundation, has quietly shifted from nonprofit idealism to playing the same game as everyone else, monetizing user-generated content without sharing the profits with the people who created it. The volunteers get nothing, the tech companies get everything, and the Wikimedia Foundation gets to have their cake and eat it too, playing nonprofit while cashing corporate checks. Profit over privacy, profit over principles, and profit over the people who made Wikipedia possible in the first place. Wikimedia says this is about sustainability, and maybe it is. Running that infrastructure isn't cheap. But the question I keep coming back to is there anywhere left on the internet that big business can't eventually buy access to? Is there any neutral ground left? Because it seems like the pattern is always the same. Something starts pure, built by the people, for the people. It grows, it becomes valuable, and then capitalism comes knocking. And eventually, the door opens. And I just think we should really just pay attention to what this means for the rest of the open internet. Because if Wikipedia isn't safe, what is? So we've talked about a lot today. Platforms changing hands, algorithms being retrained, data being sold, exits being built. Here's a thought I want to leave you with. The thing that sometimes keeps me up at night. There was a version of the internet that rewarded curiosity. You had a question, you went looking for it. You typed something into a search engine and got a list of sources. You clicked through, you read, you cross-referenced, you decided for yourself what to believe. It wasn't perfect, but you were in control. You were active. You were pulling information toward you. And it wasn't just the internet. There were institutions you could trust to do some of the verification for you. Local newspapers with journalists whose job was to check facts, editors, standards, a whole infrastructure designed to filter out the noise before it reached you. That infrastructure is gutted now. The platforms that have replaced it don't have editors, they have algorithms. And those algorithms aren't optimized for truth, they're optimized for engagement. We went from pulling information to being pushed information, from active to passive, from curious to fed. And the part to pay attention to is that people still trust what they're being served like it's coming from a neutral source. Like the feed is a newspaper, like the algorithm is an editor, like what shows up on your screen has been vetted by someone who cares whether it's true. It hasn't. Nobody's checking, the filter is gone, and the cost of being wrong is entirely on you. If you believe misinformation, that's a you problem. The platform won't be held accountable. The algorithm won't apologize. You'll just be wrong, and you'll make decisions based on that wrongness. And nobody in the system will care. That is the world we live in. We have more access to information than any generation in human history, and somehow we have less ability to know what's actually true. Because access isn't the problem anymore. Sorting is the problem. Signal is the problem. Knowing who to trust is the problem. We're living through an opinion surplus and a knowledge famine. Everyone has a take. Everyone has a platform. Everyone has something to say. But how many of those people actually know what they're talking about? How many have done the work? How many have the receipts? The phrase everyone is entitled to their opinion has done more harm than good. And look, yes, of course, free speech, democracy, everyone gets a voice. I believe in that, obviously. But that phrase has been weaponized, and it's become a shield against accountability. It's used to demand that uninformed takes get the same weight as earned expertise. Like your hot take and someone's 20 years of study deserve equal consideration. They do not. You are entitled to your informed perspective, your educated analysis, the conclusions you've drawn from experience and study. You are not entitled to make claims without foundation and expect to be taken seriously. Your 2 cents needs compound interest before it has any value. And the algorithm doesn't know the difference. It just sees engagement. It rewards volume, not accuracy. And so expertise gets drowned out. When the people who actually know things get tired of shouting into the void, they will retreat into smaller spaces. Some of them already have been, where the signal can exist without the noise. This is what I've been calling the knowledge underground. It's not a place, it's not an app, it's a behavior, a sentiment. It's a choice. It's people opting out of the algorithmic feed and building their own networks of vetted information. Smaller communities, vetted spaces, group chats with people who actually have expertise. Substacks from practitioners, not performers. Private discords, real conversations, phone calls, dinners. These spaces aren't exclusive by design, but they are very intentional. The price of admission isn't money, it's sincerity. It's showing up with curiosity instead of takes. It's contributing, not just consuming. I want to break it down to you that this is no longer optional. Media literacy used to be a nice to have. Now it's a legitimate survival tactic. If you can't sort signal from noise, you will be manipulated. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when and by whom. So what do? 4 things. 1, go back to pulling. Stop waiting to be served. If everything you know comes from one feed, one algorithm, one platform, you are not informed. You are caught up in the rapture, like Miss Anita Baker, and the Bible, of course. Intentionally seek out sources that aren't pushed onto you. Remember what it felt like to be curious, to go looking, to stumble upon information you weren't expecting. Our collective muscle around that is starting to atrophy, and I want you to start using it again. 2, build your knowledge underground. Who are the people you trust to actually know what they're talking about? Not just influencers, experts. Not just personalities, practitioners. People with education, experience, and the receipts to back it up. Start a list. Subscribe to their newsletters, join their communities, build a signal network that doesn't depend on an algorithm to reach you. 3, be a knowledge connector. You don't have to know everything, nobody does, but you can know who does know. When someone asks you something outside of your expertise, point them to someone who has it. I don't know, but I know someone who does is an underrated and underused statement. If you're not a guru, then be a shepherd. 4, recognize opinion junk food. Learn to feel the difference between content that informs and content that triggers. If something makes you feel outraged, righteous, superior, certain, take a pause. The truth sometimes feels quieter than that. But knowledge still exists. Expertise still exists. People who care about truth more than clicks are still out there. You just have to go find them. You have to build the infrastructure yourself. You have to opt into the work of being informed. The truth isn't always trending, but it's still there if you look. The internet you knew is gone. Welcome to the Knowledge Underground. Great. That brings us to Ask Matt. Let's go into a couple questions. Is it even possible to build a real community on social media, or is it all just performance? It's a good one. Okay, so first of all, social media is optimized for engagement, not connection. It rewards the loudest voice, the hottest take, the most clickable moment. That in and of itself is in some ways contrary to the idea of community, right? So is it possible to build community on social media? I mean, I think anything is possible with the right intentions, but you have to be clear on what those are. And I'm going to continue to drive that home with y'all through these episodes. Like, you have to be clear on who you are and what it is that you actually want to do. Community is driven by common interest, but also common action. And a lot of community building people are doing tends to lean more toward vanity metrics and revenue gain rather than motivating and rallying people around an actual effort or cause. Getting a lot of followers to sell them merch is a business, not a community. Getting a lot of views and likes on your video is fandom, not community. So what do you want people to do besides look at you and buy stuff? If the answer is nothing, that's fine, but I'd rather you just say that, right? So like establishing a belief, an ethos, something to hold on to that promotes changed perspectives, changed behaviors. That's the community that I want, and I hope you want as well. And that's the one that's harder to build. Here's how I think about it. Audiences watch you. Community shows up for each other through you and your cause. Audiences consume. Community contributes. What are we collectively building together for a greater purpose? Audiences disappear when the algorithm stops pushing you onto them. Community stays because they're invested in not just you, but your cause, your vision, and the way that they see themselves through those things. So yes, I think it's possible, but the odds are somewhat against you depending on who you're trying to rally. In essence, you have to build community despite the platform. It won't be because of the platform, because that isn't truly what they're built for anymore. Fantastic. If you have a tech, AI, or social media question for me, definitely send it in. I want to hear from y'all. Shoot me your questions so I can talk about them here on the show. Shoot me a DM on all socials at Curious Inspired, or email me curious@curiousinspired.com. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the show. Thank you so much for watching. I had so much fun with you guys today. That is a wrap for this episode. Can't wait to see you next time. As always, stay curious, stay inspired. Y'all be good. Peace. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And stay tuned for new episodes Thursdays bi-weekly at 8 p.m. Connect more with me at curiousinspired.com and at Curious Inspired on all socials. Thanks for watching. As always, stay curious, stay inspired. Y'all be good. Peace.